A stimulus is an external factor that influences behavior. So anything in the environment, if the environment does something and that causes a response, a physical measurable response from the animal, then whatever the environment did, that's called stimulus. Stimulus can be described as appetitive if it's something that the animal enjoys having happen or wants to have happen more. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have aversive stimulus. So aversive stimulus is anything that the animal does not like or they want to have stop happening. So anything that causes them discomfort, pain, or stress, anything that's scary, that all goes under aversive stimulus. And then in the middle, we have what's called neutral stimulus. All stimulus can be categorized on this spectrum from appetitive on one end to aversive on the other end, with neutral or inert right in the middle. When we talk about stimulus, it's important to recognize that it's up to the animal to define how they are perceiving the stimulus, not up to us to define whether or not the stimulus itself is appetitive or aversive. A stimulus itself does not have an inherent value as appetitive or aversive. The value is dependent on that animal in that context. So for instance, water is very salient to me right now. I'm a little dehydrated. I've been out in the heat. Water is appetitive. It's something that's pleasant to me. I like water. Now, water isn't always a happy stimulus. If I spill the water on myself, suddenly the water isn't appetitive. Now it's aversive to me, right? So the context of how the water is interacting with me will determine the value of the water. It also depends on what I'm doing. If I drink 2 giant containers full of water, water might not be as appetitive anymore. Right? A good example that I tend to use with horses is a scratch. So like a good scratchy, usually that's something that's really pleasant to the horse. Now, if you walk up to a feral Mustang that just got rounded up but doesn't want anything to do with people and you start scratching them on the neck, that's going to be aversive. That's because the act of scratching isn't inherently pleasant or unpleasant. It's dependent on the animal and the context that they're in. That same wild Mustang a year later might absolutely love scratchies and it's really wonderful. But then maybe a specific person, they don't like being scratched by that person, right? Or maybe they love scratchies, but then when it rains or they're really sweaty and their coat is wet, and the scratchies are aversive. Maybe they like scratchies when their coat is shedding out and they're really itchy, but when they have their sleek summer coat, they don't like scratchies. The value of the stimulus is going to be dependent on the specific horse as well as the context that the stimulus is in.
Learn anytime, anywhere with Steph K. Equestrian's Equine Behaviorology online courses at skequine.com.